time so that we can focus on our speakers. And again, I think it's going to be a very valuable message for you guys to hear today. Mr. Fonesteau is going to give a little bit more information about them.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. I would like to introduce a couple of Inman High School alumni, brother and sister. This is Kaela and Wade Moore. Kaela was a 2010 high school graduate volleyball player, student council co-president. I remember you well standing here with me, number of assemblies in 2010, actually in other organizations too. She graduated from Mack College in 2014, has a business degree. Kaela, you're still employed at Farmers Alliance, right, in McPherson. And any of you in the career path of business, she'd be a good one to contact. Wade was a 2013 graduate, football player, all-league lineman, very active in forensics. He graduated from Hutch Community College with degrees in fire science, EMT, and paramedics. I've talked to several of you already. He would be a good fellow to contact or connect with here on Facebook or talk to today. He knows the path real well. You're currently employed at McPherson EMT, right? Paramedic. And then you're doing work for the police department here in Inman. And you'll see Wade lifting an awful lot over in the Wellness Center if you ever go over there. November 15th, 2015, Kaela's life was forever changed in a rollover car accident. She's now paralyzed and living life from a wheelchair. The night of her accident, her brother Wade was an EMT that was called and attended to her severe injuries. Kaela and Wade are here today to share not just about their journey through school and what they did after, but about the journey and how quickly life can change. Let's give them a warm welcome this morning.
Hello, I'm Wade. He did a pretty good job introducing me. Like I said, he graduated here in 2013. Ever since then, I've been working on some college degrees. I got my degree in fire science, degree in paramedic, and I actually go to the police academy starting in November for a part-time job here in Inman. We're here today to talk about Kaela's story. We call this Life of a Para. And I'm going to give the mic over to Kaela. She can introduce herself. We're going to talk about what the point of this PowerPoint is. And then we're going to go into a little bit of the medical changes that has happened in our lives and how this has changed every aspect of our life in every way. So here's Kaela.
Good morning, guys. So he did great on introducing us. A couple other things to touch on. So before my accident, I had everything going on in life. I had friends, I had a job working full-time I was making good money. I had just bought a house. I was working part-time at a restaurant in Little River. I had a lot going on, and I thought I had life and it was all figured out, all my ducks in a row. So then, on the night of November 15th, my life changed forever in the blink of an eye. So two things that I want to touch on today are how quickly life can change, and that life-changing is not the end in no matter what situation you're in, because life is always going to change. So, that being said, on November 15th, I was at home decorating for Christmas, and I had a couple friends down the road that had been working on a truck. And so I made dinner, and I said, hey, you guys want to come over for dinner? And of course, they came over for dinner. And we were eating, and they wanted to go test drive the truck that they'd been working on all day. And we made it uptown and saw some friends, and they said, hey, come out for a couple beers. Okay. So we went out to their house, and on our way back into town, we got a half a mile from their house, and the driver decided to fishtail. And how many of you have ever been in a vehicle that fishtailed? Like, for real. Yeah, we all have. I mean, most of us have. It was nothing, no big deal. But that night, that wheel caught the dirt just right, and it rolled us. And that is how we landed. So the driver was buckled in, and his side was not smashed, so he was fine. He got out. My boyfriend and I were in there, and we were both ejected from the vehicle. So I don't remember the crash or the rollover, but all I remember is waking up in a cold, wet ditch with sleet hitting my head, and I remember picking up his arm, and my wrist just fell. And then I went to try and wipe my head, and it was covered in blood. and I had no idea how bad it was or anything. Then I went to kind of try and move my legs or roll over some, and it didn't work. So I couldn't feel my legs. This part of my stomach was completely swollen. I had blood running down my head, a hand that I can't move, and I'm laying in a ditch and I don't know who's going to find us. So the driver runs for help, and when help gets there, they come out, and I remember the friend that was at the house, that they came down, and I remember her yelling my name. It's a sound that I will never forget, of pure fear. And then I have these EMTs and these paramedics showing up, and I know all of them because they're volunteer firefighters in Little River, just like they are here in Inman, and you know everybody. So I have these 3 people around me that I see on a weekly basis. One of them I work with at the restaurant, one of them's wife works with me at the restaurant, and another one is a close family friend. And I'm laying in this ditch, and they're trying to work on me. And I remember looking up at them and saying, "Am I going to die?" They couldn't tell me. They all looked at me with tears in their eyes and said, "We're going to try not to let that happen." So from this point, I had no idea what the future was going to bring, minute by minute. I didn't know if I was going to live. I didn't know if I was going to walk again, nothing. So we get to Hutchinson Hospital, and Wade is there and greets us. From there, I don't really remember much because then they started pumping meds in, and I don't remember hardly anything. But I remember then once we got to Wichita, Wade was there to help set my wrist and ended up stapling my head. What had happened is my head had been scalped back from here to about here. So they had to put 35 staples back in my head to put my head back together. So yeah, we're going forward, and they're going to do surgery and everything. And I'm thinking, okay, they're going to do surgery. They're going to fix me. It's fine. In a couple days, I'll be able to move my legs again, and we'll do some therapy and get this figured out. So they did the surgery, and I wake up from the surgery, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try and move my legs. Nothing happened. So from there, I was in the hospital for 3 weeks, and I'm going to touch on that a little more after Wade kind of talks about the trauma from that night on his side, and then we'll move forward from there.
All right. Well, let's backtrack just a little bit. Let's go to when I was called. I was at work in McPherson. I work on an ambulance there. I get a call from my mom. The first thing I hear is sheer terror. All I can hear is her mumbling. I don't know what she's saying. All I can hear is Kaela's been in a wreck, going Hutch. So I don't even think I clocked out. I just kind of got up and left and drove to Hutch very rapidly. And once I get there, I was able to go into the back of the ER because I was in uniform and they thought I was just working. Got back there, explained to the nurses that my sister's coming in, code red, which means very emergent, very critical. And you're going to need a bigger security guard than this guy to get me out of here. So they agreed to keep me in there, and they came in, and you can imagine that kind of situation. They open up the ambulance bay doors, and all I can hear is profanity. Kaela and her friends were in a lot of pain. They weren't given any pain medicine en route to the hospital. There was some issues with neck precautions, and her spine was hurting terribly. We get her moved over to the hospital bed, and they immediately give her drugs. She pretty much knocked out. The last thing my sister says to me is, "When am I going to die?" And I couldn't tell her no. As you can imagine, that was the most painful thing that has ever happened to me. Anyway, so she said that. I couldn't tell her no. She fell asleep. We arranged for an emergent transport from Hutchinson to Wichita. We went to a level 1 trauma center, which is a very high grade. You have to go there if you are in very critical and need critical care. They knew she was getting surgery in several different aspects. I was able to talk to some of the ambulance personnel that was driving her to Wichita. I would talk to them to let me ride. So I rode in the front seat all the way there. And once we got to Wichita, we went to the trauma bay, and they immediately started working on it. They had a crew probably of 35 people in that ambulance, in that hospital bay. It was amazing. And they worked with amazing persistence to comfort my sister and her friend. And it was just amazing. I was so shocked at how well they treated her. And so while I was in the room, they had no clue I was her brother. I was still in uniform. And I helped do several things. Two of the major things that I did help do was staple her scalp. Her scalp has what you call an avulsion. The skin of her head had been cut and peeled back. You could see her skull. You could see everything from nerve endings to muscles in the top of her head. So we were able to staple that back over. I think she said 31 staples is what you said. And yeah, it was in the 30s. It was a lot of staples. And then also I was able to help set her arm with the orthopedic surgeon. We set her arm up to set it, and it was in a Z pattern. So we had to apply traction, pull tension to it, straighten it out. When we did that, we casted it, and then they looked at me and they said, "Wait a minute, you're an EMT. What are you still doing in here?" I said, "Oh, well, that's my sister." Then they kind of got mad at me and kicked me out of the room. So I had to go back with my family. I had to explain to them what was going on. And they asked me the same question, is Kaela going to live? And it was still, to this point, we're probably 3 hours into this scenario right now, and I still can't say yes. I legitimately think I was going to lose my sister that day. So we're there for several days, and days turn to weeks turn to months, and this is our life for months. In and out of hospital beds, sleeping on the floors, on cheap cots that the hospital tries to provide us, eating really bad food. And so I'll let Kaela kind of talk about what happened from here on.
Okay, so we've talked about the whole accident and how things can change in an instant. So our message to you guys is that as you start driving and as you start going out, I know there's going to be parties. I know there's going to be things going on. And I know that you're going to want to do stupid things when you drive. And it's not the fact of never do those things, but use your head when you're doing them, because it's not always just your life that you are taking care of right there. It's everybody else on the road. And so it can so quickly change your life. But my other point is, as we move forward, is what you do when your life changes like that. Because whether it's a breakup, or it's a parent's getting a divorce, or it's a car accident, or something like that, life is going to change. So my life changed here. I had no idea what my future was going to bring. So I'm in the hospital for 3 weeks. While I'm in the hospital at Wichita, I just laid in bed. Nothing really happened much. But as we go forward, I go to Denver, to Craig Hospital, and as you can see in the back here, it's kind of right by the mountains, and this was the picture one of the first 3 days I got at that hospital. I legit thought that was the end. That was the worst time. I was so sick. And then this is one of the recent trips we went back, the same picture and how much things have changed. So while I'm at Craig, I cannot sit up. I can barely pick up my drink. I can barely do anything. So they had to teach me how to relive my life. So I'm talking sitting up, rolling over, and learning how to transfer and move from place to place without using my legs, which when you first start that and you just had a traumatic accident, you have no muscles, it's extremely difficult to do. But Craig has helped me. to be able to live completely independently. I drive my own truck, as you can see here. So this is where they taught me how to drive. Remember, I'd just been in a tragic car accident, terrifying car accident. And then they stick me in a car in Denver, where I'm used to driving in a town of 600 people, and they're like, okay, we're gonna teach you how to drive today with just your hands. It was terrifying. But then they've also got me up in braces so that I can stand up. I can't walk or anything with them on, but I can at least stand up to stretch out, because sitting down all the time, it really wears on your back. And another thing that Craig has done, well, they taught me how to set a I have a truck that I can use so that I am completely independent and able to go everywhere. And I've completely learned how to relive my life from a wheelchair. And this is still pictures of them doing my house, where they had to add on a big bathroom and closet so that it's functional for me, and so that I can continue to live on independently. So, I go dancing sometimes, I go shooting, and that's kind of where our story ends. And so, well, where it ends for now. So, I would like to open it up to questions for you guys. Anything you'd like to ask, Wade or I, we're completely open to that. Is there anything else you want to cover, Wade? Nope. Yeah, so even though life changed, I still have fun and have learned how to do everything that I did before, with a few changes. So does anybody have any questions?
Just go ahead and pop your hand up if you have a question.
What kind of impact did this have on your friends?
Impact on my friends. The friend thing has been really kind of difficult, here and there. Definitely through an experience like this, you find out who your real friends are. Because there's ones that stick by your side and are there to help you and everything, and then there's ones that don't come around anymore. There definitely are. And it's one thing that I struggled with at first is like, do they just not want to deal with me having to get out of the truck and having to sit in a handicapped spot, or what is it? But I think I really realized that those who truly care about me and those who are the real friends are there, and it hasn't changed it. I mean, I have a group of girls from high school, and we do a lot of things together. I mean, we've been to weddings, we have get-togethers and stuff, and everybody's always there willing to help and figure out what we need to do to get me where I need to go. So it's been difficult at some points, but it's been great to have those friends there that are there willing to help and adapt with you and change. And I think keeping a positive attitude to keep those friends around. Because if I was really negative about it all the time, it would be much harder to hang out with them. Does that make sense?
What made you keep going with
I honestly don't know. I think that the point of when I decided to keep pushing through was when I was laying in that ditch, and who is now my boyfriend was there, and he was struggling. I knew, because he kept asking the same questions over and over again, and I didn't know how bad he was hurt. And I think at the point of the wreck, I was in the mindset that I needed to stay strong to make sure he was okay. And then a positive point was being in the ER and the trauma bays and everything, and having like Wade there to say, close your eyes, go back to sleep, or it's going to be okay, or things like that, because that helped lower my fear at that point. And so from then on, I just kept, I mean, I've always thought, and I know that someday I'll be able to walk in some way, if it's my body healing, if it's medically, something will be there. And so keeping that hope there and faith that that will happen, that's what keeps me strong.
Kaela, what's been the toughest emotion before? Anger, fear? You ever angry?
Yeah, I've got all those. I mean, I get fearful, I get angry. There's days that I just lay in bed and I'm like, why? Why me? I've had those conversations, like I'm a religious person, I've had those conversations where I lay in bed and I cry and I yell and I scream and I ask God, why? Why me? But at the end of the day, I also know that everything happens for a reason, and I hold on to that, and that even though my life has changed so much, it's given me opportunities to share my story with people, and I have grown as a person so much. I mean, I just look at life completely differently, and so that helps me. But I mean, yeah, all those things, fear, anger, I don't know what the future's going to bring. I mean, when I have kids or whatever, how's that going to go? I mean, I'll figure it out, but I have no idea. So yeah, definitely. So he broke his back from the bottom of his neck down to like the middle of his back, and then he broke his palate of his mouth, so it cracked through the top of his mouth and killed all of his teeth and broke his teeth off. So he has to have all of his teeth replaced because it basically broke his mouth and in every aspect of it. But other than that, he's okay.
I know you had a lot of adjustments as you went, but I imagine it also affected Wade and your mom. How many months were you up in Denver?
I was in Denver for 2.5 months.
And were you by yourself?
No, my mom was there with me, but basically the whole time. On the last couple weeks, she did go home just because Craig recommended that I have to do things by myself. Like, I have to get to my therapies. And at Craig, you have 8 hours of therapy, whether it's OT, PT, you have, like, therapists that come in and talk to you because you've been through trauma. You have all different things that go on through the day, so you stay busy. So, I mean, at first, just me getting from my hospital bed to those therapy appointments, Mom would have to help me a ton, and the nurses were there, but I needed to learn how to do that on my own to be independent. So yeah, I mean, it affects my family. It affects everybody on how we do everything now. So, but we've also, at first it was, well, we can't do that because Kaela can't do that. But now it's like, we can do that, but we got to figure out a way to get Kaela to do that, which has been some interesting things. Like the first time I got on a 4-wheeler, that was interesting. Things like that. Learning how to like get out and out of my bed to get into my chair to go to the bathroom and stuff. I had to have family there for all of that at first because I wasn't strong enough or confident in myself enough to do it, and I had to have help for that. How does it work? So, I have this little seat. As you can see up there, it kind of comes out underneath. It's like a drawer that's underneath my truck. And it slides out, and I just pop my butt over to it, and then it lifts me up to my seat, and then I transfer over a level. And then this lift, I hook my wheelchair up, and it puts it in the back for me. But inside of there, I have hand controls by my steering wheel. So I push forward to brake, and I pull it down to go, and so I run the gas and brake with this hand, and then I drive with this hand. It works really well for me. Before I had an SUV, and then you have to take your chair apart and put it across you, and that took just forever. So this has helped me be able to go shopping and everything again. Yeah, shop. Anybody else? Yes.
Just by knowing Kaela, it's kind of interesting because to her it's so easy to get in and out of that truck. And I remember the first time she told me she gets in and then she loads her leg. Now, the rest of us realize you just pick your leg up and move it. She is not able to do that. So I always thought she has such terminology that is very interesting in this situation. But just because her butt's in that truck, the rest of her is. So it's just kind of interesting because she loads her leg.
I have to throw them around, and they don't just go limp, like they fight me, like they spasm and kick, and I honestly have blamed Sprunger some days for my legs because they're so heavy, and he made me do all of these squats and track and everything, and so they weren't so muscly, then maybe it wouldn't be so heavy. But yeah. But so yeah, that was a challenge at first, was just getting learning how to load my legs up and learning how to roll over in bed and position them, because I kind of have to flop over and move them to get comfortable. So that was rolling over and learning how to sleep without being able to move your legs. That was really hard at first. That was probably one of my biggest struggles at first.
Wade, how's this impacted you in your career?
Well, obviously on the medical side of things, there's a lot of things you have to treat a paraplegic. You have to treat them a lot differently, and I have learned how to do that with great excellence. But as far as lifestyle changes and everything like that, it was something that more so reminded me that how fast your life can change and how fast you can lose someone you love. I am definitely more aware of that my sister's precious to me, and I go over and spend more time with her. I try to make time to go and visit family more often now. But yeah, I would definitely say that because when something like this happens, it didn't just affect Kaela, it affected us all. I mean, my mother spends countless hours with her going to the hospitals and driving her to therapy and all that good jazz. My grandmother does the same thing. When Kaela arrived here today, we had to go out and help her get out of her truck. So it's a learning curve for everybody that she is in contact with. I mean, so yeah, I would definitely say that when someone that is under my care at work has went through a traumatic event, they don't know it yet, but I have a good idea what's coming their way, and it's not something that anybody wants to think about, nor should you ever have to, but some of you will probably have to think about it at some point.
Anybody else? Do you have in your life?
No, I can't feel light touch, but if I poke them, then they tingle. So they tingly weird, but I can't really feel, no. And I can't feel temperature, heat and stuff, so I have to be really careful when I'm cooking and whatnot, that if I'm grilling, I don't get too close, because my knees can touch the grill and I won't know. He would just jump back, but I wouldn't know, and so I have to be really careful. Or if it's really cold outside, I can't feel that my legs are freezing, and so I have to be careful to not get frostbite and stuff. You guys are quiet today.
Okay, well, one last question for me. When you were in school, you loved photography. Did you still take time to pick up the camera?
I do some. I've done some here and there. I do it more now, landscape stuff, because family shoots are hard to get the angle I want. But I do have my camera, and I do a lot. Actually, my iPhone does great, And so I do a lot on there, and then I put them on my computer and edit them and do things like that. So I do some, not as much as I did, but I do some, yeah.
Has it affected your work at all? Like, does that have a big impact on how you do things at work?
Honestly, I'm in insurance. So what I do is I write the policies for people that are in auto accident, like auto policies and homeowners policies. So I have some more sympathy when I review like claims and stuff. But like as far as like actually going to work and stuff, since I have a desk job and it's all from a computer, I can do it from home as well. So I work in the office about 3 days a week, and then I work from home a couple of days so that I don't have to go in and do all that and be up in my chair all day. I can sometimes work from a laptop, like in a recliner or something. So I'm lucky that I had a job like that. If I had another job that required more physical activity, it might be a different story. Seatbelts? Seatbelts are great, and I preach seatbelts because I think that majority of the time they do save us. On my accident, I cannot be certain because if you see this window here, right there, the one with the beer can in it, it's a great decision. The window is crushed down small enough that our side of the truck was smashed enough that if we were seatbelted in, I don't know how that would have impacted us. But I do strongly believe in seatbelts because, like, if Jay wouldn't have been ejected and stuff, there's a lot less injuries that occur when wearing a seatbelt, and I definitely wear a seatbelt now. So, yes.
And also the thing about seatbelts. That is a big discussion. I remember in high school I didn't ever wear my seatbelt until I started wearing this patch. And the theory of it is this is going to hold you in as you roll the vehicle and whatnot. And as she's saying, yes, the side of her truck was smashed down. So we cannot definitively say if it would have helped her or not. It might have saved her life by getting ejected. It might have not. She might still be walking with us today and we would be able to give her the speech. We don't know. But the person that was seatbelted in was able to unseatbelt, get out of the vehicle, and jog almost half a mile to get help for them. And here today, he still doesn't have any medical really effects from the crash. The only medical condition that he did really have was he got a gash across his chest because when he was running for help, he ran into a barbed wire fence. So, the seatbelt side of things is huge. Never neglect the seatbelt. You've gotta wear it. We see it at work, and people don't wear their seatbelts and they get ejected. The theory behind her wreck is that the truck rolled over her. So she was ejected, and the truck continued to roll and then crushed her. So, and we see people that get ejected into snowbanks, they get thrown when it rolls and it flings them 30 foot in the air. You can't ever underestimate the power of how well that seatbelt can help you. So please, from a medical professional that sees it quite often to someone that has experienced it firsthand, the seatbelt is something you've got to wear. What time do we have to? Any more questions at all?
No, it's about the same, but yeah, sometimes. It's about, you kind of learn, like, now, I just don't even think about it, like, it's just, I mean, I drive in Denver during rush hour and stuff, I don't even think about the hand thing, like, you just figure it out, you just go, it's like playing a video game, basically, using your hands, so, not necessarily easier to speak sometimes, so maybe that's me, I don't know.
Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you guys for sharing your powerful story and the impact that it can have on people. So we appreciate that. You'll be here for a few more minutes. If you guys have additional questions you want to come up and ask, we've just got a couple more minutes in the homeroom here. So I ask that you stay in here in the room until the bell rings. Thank you.